Okay, welcome, everybody. What do we have going on today? This is it. This is the last day of the legislative branch, so we've got a number of things that we are going to be doing today. Looking at our list and what we've got going on, we're going to start out with a little Jane Goodall video. Has anybody ever heard of Jane Goodall? Anybody in here? Anybody? Couple? Two? Three? Awesome. Dealing with our Women's History Month. Then we're going to get right into Quizlet Live, review our terms because we are going to need to know those just a little bit later today. Then we're going to do a little upfront reading together, and then we're going to spend a good amount of the hour doing some activities from the Unit 5 document and explaining some stuff that maybe you don't understand, because we want to make sure that we get that Unit 5 document turned in by Friday and take the Unit 5 assessment. Both of the drop box is open for the Unit 5 document, and the assessment is open. Okay, there's about 17 like multiple choice questions. They largely deal with the federal government in terms of Congress and the House of Representatives and the Senate. What's the structure like? What does it look like? Got me? Okay, what are the qualifications for being a senator at the federal level? What are the qualifications for being in the House of Representatives at the federal level? And then there's like 20 terms from that Quizlet Live link. So basically what you've got for a Unit 5 assessment is we're just taking those 17 questions, combining them with 20 terms, and it's 37 points. That's going into the grade book this weekend. Make sense, guys and gals? Okay, so there's that. Like I said, I don't really care when you take that assessment. It's open now, but I'm going to be putting that into the grade book sometime Friday, so try to take it before Friday. Good? Okay, let's get right to our list of things to do. So we're going to start right with that Jane Goodall video right now. Give me about a minute to get this thing going. I'm a little slow today.
I don't know, they're kind of creepy. They're so much like people. Dear Tim and Moby, my biology teacher mentioned a scientist called Jane Goodall in class today. Can you tell me more about her? Thanks, PJ. Well, Jane Goodall is one of the most famous scientists of the 20th century.
She's a primatologist, a scientist who studies monkeys, apes, and other non-human primates.
Jane Goodall was born in London, England on April 3rd, 1934.
She'd always loved animals and Africa, but as a woman, she didn't have many options for working with them. Nevertheless, she traveled to Kenya in 1957, hoping to establish a career. Her big break came when she was hired by a celebrated archaeologist named Louis Leakey. With his help, Goodall began studying chimpanzees in Tanzania.
During that time, she had her first taste of living with chimpanzees and studying their social and family life. When she returned to England in 1961, she began working on a doctorate in ethology, or animal behavior, at the University of Cambridge. After that, she returned to Tanzania and her chimpanzee friends. At first, she could only watch from a distance using binoculars. But as the chimps got used to her, she was able to come closer and closer.
Goodall ended up observing the same group of chimps for 55 years.
Because they were so comfortable having her around, she was able to make a lot of really cool discoveries. Well, one of the first was that chimps use tools. They'll twist grass or strip the leaves from a twig to poke a termite mound. When the termites grab on, the chimps pull their sticks out and snack on the insects. Before Goodall observed this, people thought that only humans used tools. She also figured out that chimp groups wage war on each other, something else that only humans were thought to do. So her discoveries actually redefined what it means to be human. Right, well, one thing that she did that a lot of people criticized her for was to give the chimps she studied names instead of just numbers. Her critics said that she was getting too attached to her subjects to observe them objectively. But she insisted that animals have separate personalities and emotions. She's written a lot of books, including The Chimpanzees of Gombe, Patterns of Behavior, which summarizes her decades of research. Yeah, Goodall's time with the chimps made her really concerned for them. Lots of great apes, or large primates, are endangered because humans are destroying their habitats. So, in 1977, she founded the Jane Goodall Institute for Wildlife Research, Education, and Conservation, a group that helps improve and conserve the environment for everyone, humans and animals. Goodall's work to protect the environment and animals has earned her a bunch of awards. In 2002, she became a United Nations Messenger of Peace. And in 2004, she was named a Dame Commander of the British Empire, the equivalent of a knight. Goodall is still active today, lecturing and promoting conservation and education about the environment all over the world. He does not look like me.
All right, you know what's next, folks. Quizlet Live. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Quizlet.live right now. Assuming this works. Come on. Well, it's being stubborn right now. We'll give it just a minute. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. All right, finally, there's your code, 475-969. Let's see, 50. About 24 is what we're looking for. All right, we're missing a handful of you. Get about 30 seconds to get in there, and then we're going to play this thing. Here we go. Okay, here we go. There's your spirit animals, folks. And they're racing. Round two, and they are racing. This one's for all the Tostitos, and they're racing. That we're I hope everybody is opening up their Unit 5 document right now and find if you find week 3, you should have no problem seeing exactly what we're looking at right now. Now, for those of you that were in class earlier this week, we went over some of this stuff. I put it into the Try3 Google presentation so that you can see exactly what you're looking for here. Okay. A couple of things. Actually, you know what we should do first? And I'll put this back up here in just a moment here, folks. But I would like to show you that short video. And those of you that watched it on Monday, I apologize, but it's about a minute, so you'll be fine. So this is the video that goes along with the Minnesota legislature, okay? So what we're looking for is a quick answer right away to what is the difference between the federal government and the state government when it comes to the legislative branch. And the quick answer that you guys could write down even before you watch this video is there's a lot of similarities, okay? They're both set up with 2 houses, right? They both have 2 houses. So just like the federal government has Congress, okay, the state of Minnesota has got 2 houses as well. We don't refer to it as Congress, okay? We just refer to it as the Minnesota legislature. But let me show this quick video to you. Senate. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Both executive branches have a chief executive, a cabinet, and many, many departments. Both judicial branches have a Supreme Court, a network of lower courts, and pretty flowing robes. Now, where do they differ? Legislatively, while the federal legislature is called the Congress, Minnesota state legislature is not called Minnesota's Congress. It's called the Minnesota State Legislature. Executively, the United States has a president, while Minnesota has a governor. Under the president is a vice president, while in Minnesota there is a lieutenant governor, which is hard to spell, so everyone just writes LG. And while a president appoints their Secretary of State and Attorney General, in Minnesota those positions, and a few others, are elected offices. Judicially, there are 9 judges on the Supreme Court, while there are only 7 judges on Minnesota's Supreme Court. So instead of fielding a softball team, the Minnesota Supreme Court plays hockey in their spare time. Judges on the U.S. Supreme Court are appointed by the president to serve a lifetime term. Nice gig. Judges on the Minnesota Supreme Court are elected by the people to 6-year terms. If there's a vacancy on the bench, a replacement will be appointed by the governor or the bench coach of the Minnesota Twins. We've only scratched the surface on how Minnesota's government is structured.
So that was relatively short, but hopefully it did give you a good answer for the short little, because right after that video, it asked for your take on what's similar, what's different between the federal government and the state level there, okay? So obviously we've got a bicameral situation here where we've got 2 houses, okay? And again, we don't refer to that as Congress. It's just referred to as the Minnesota legislature, okay? So just like there are differences between the House of Representatives and the Senate on the federal level, there are kind of the same differences between that on the state level, meaning the House of Representatives in Minnesota has more members, okay? The Senate in Minnesota has less members, just like on the federal level, okay? But instead of it being a nice round number of 100, I would say this actually makes more sense to make it an odd number so you don't end in a tie. But for the Minnesota Senate, we've got 67 versus 134 in the House of Representatives, okay? The qualifications for the House of Representatives and the Senate are basically the same. 21 years old, okay? 1 year as a Minnesota resident, and then 6 months in the district that one represents, okay? What's a little bit goofy, though, is when you compare the terms of both. You've got 2-year terms for the House of Representatives and then 4-year terms for the Senate, except on a year that ends in 0. Because does anybody know what happens in every year that ends in 0? What do? We hold a, what do we do every 10 years? Every year that ends in 0. We have a census, okay? And every census year, okay, is where they want that thing to restart. So essentially, the Senate is going to look like this: 442, 442. See how that adds up to 10? 442. So that on those years that end up with those census years, it's going to be a 2-year term. So local government, okay, regulations, laws for a community. Well, what the rip is an ordinance? You probably heard of, spell ordinance is wrong there, but anyway, the best way that one could explain an ordinance is kind of a city or a township or a county comes up with a rule or regulation that they want to see throughout that city or community. They're very simple things. They tend to be very simple things like don't put garage sale signs up in anybody's yard in a residential area. That's the best example that I can come up with off the top of my head. So like in the city of Woodbury, you can't just go out and put up a sign that says, hey, congratulations, so-and-so for graduating. You can't go put up a sign in your yard that says garage sale such and such, okay? Because they've agreed that their ordinance, they're going to say, we don't allow that in our city. That's just not something we do. So in fact, they have somebody in the city government that drives around in a car, picks up all these garage sale signs and throws them in the back of the car because that's an ordinance. That's something that they've agreed to, okay? Does that make sense, guys? An ordinance, you probably heard an example of an ordinance dealing with a city or a township or a county in some capacity, I'm guessing, okay? So you can have whatever ordinance you want, but it just can't interfere. It just can't interfere with state or federal law, okay? So who's going to make up these ordinances? Who's going to make up these rules? Well, typically it's a collection. It's a group of people. So a lot of these that you're going to see here, except for like the county commissioner, okay, is going to be a counselor. It's going to be a group of people. So a board of commissioners or a board of trustees, okay? So for townships, it's board of commissioners, board of trustees. For city government, it's a city council, or it's a collection of people. And then here we've got city commissioners, or excuse me, county commissioners for the county. This last one is kind of a special deal. You know, special districts would include a school district, for example, a school district, because you know, without anybody even telling you that, you know, a school district, you don't have to have a Farmington address to go to the Farmington School District, do you? Those lines are drawn, okay, according to the special district. You know some people that you go to school with here that maybe have an Empire address, or maybe have a Lakeville address. You guys see what I'm getting at here? They don't, you know, correlate exactly with, you know, what city you're in with what school you go in, because that's a special district. Well, who's in charge of our special district? Who makes all the decisions for our special district? It would be our school board. Make sense? Our school board. Okay. All right. Next. Last thing that you guys probably remember from like a geography class, but just hadn't really thought about, is Native American reservations. Native American reservations are supposed to operate like little, equal, and sovereign little nations, which is kind of weird to think about. You know, the fact that if you're driving to like Treasure Island, or you're driving to Mystic Lake, that you're entering foreign territory, or you're entering a foreign, you know, country. But it's supposed to operate like its own little sovereign territory. Okay. So like if you were to get in trouble or if you were to like, I can guarantee you, if we have any hunters out there, you know this one, you do not hunt on Native American land, right? Because you will get in some serious trouble with the tribal police, right? Okay. So like that's their sovereignty, that's their jurisdiction. They're responsible for that area. And I could seriously talk in great depth for a long, long time about what a difficult situation it is to have all these. I mean, think about that. Think about the state of Minnesota and how many different little Native American reservations we have. Well, those are all little landlocked little countries. You know what I mean? That's how they're supposed to operate. But there's some sticky situations in terms of like, when do they get federal money? When do tax dollars pay for that? Should they pay taxes? All of those things, okay, are kind of interesting. And you probably knew this already, but like, that's why they're allowed to have casinos on that territory, is it's not technically it's not Minnesota's jurisdiction. Does that make sense, guys? Good? Okay, good. So anything here that you missed, don't forget that you can always go right back to that Try3 Google presentation and get any of this stuff that you missed. Does that make sense, guys? Good? Okay, so looking at that that Unit 5 document, okay, so what else does one need to do for this week? Well, the next thing, so this is everything that I just gave you. I just gave you all these answers. Okay, then you just click on these and you find the names of the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader, blah, 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 blah. You guys have done this before in a different part. That should be easy, okay? This part right here has got an error on it where it says, I know it says 1920, but I think it's 2021. I should have updated this, but obviously I want you to find the most recent, right? You guys get what I'm saying here? Cool. Okay, so do that. And then lastly, you want to find an article about the legislative branch, okay? It could be on the federal, it could be on the local, it could be on whatever level you want, okay? Find it there. Tell me about it, okay? And then you're basically going to grade yourself on how you did in this unit. Did you fulfill all of the things that we talked about here, okay? Good? All right. Well, that went a heck of a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. I know that I skipped over the upfront reading that we were going to do today, but I'm just going to do that with the group that's here. And, the group that I had in class, before I already did that one. So I'm just going to let you guys be done. But if you have any questions, don't be afraid to email. I am going to be in like staff development, like meetings and stuff on Thursday and Friday, but I should have access to email. So like if you have a question about any of this stuff, or if you're taking your test and you get kicked out, and you need me to reset that, I'm here for you in that capacity too. So if there's nothing else, group, that's online, that will fulfill your attendance requirement for today. Have a super weekend or don't. The choice is yours.
I have a really quick question.
Go for it.
So like if we do bad on like the quiz, can we like email you and retake it?
Yeah, you might have to like, we'll have to figure out a time in which that could happen, but yeah, we could figure that out.
Okay.
But you've got, until Friday to take that thing. So take your time and, do well.
Okay.
All right. Stop recording.